This is DWBS Sports. DWBS Sports, it's your favorite show. DWBS Sports, where degenerates go. DWBS Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Holzman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a new year of the DWBS Sports Show. We've taken about a week and a half off, Papa Dude, but we are back. The DWBS Daily Show's back. We got that going, and now we've got ours going back. How was the break?
Well, it was kind of relaxing. A lot of stuff happened over the break that we didn't think was going to. I don't know about you, but I think the bowl games in college, which we'll talk about, is probably the best I've seen in a long time. There were some tremendous bowl games. And now the NFL, what a weekend they've got coming up. There's a lot to be settled this weekend that we can talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the bowl games, that's the thing we'll probably talk about first. An incredible semifinal. I mean, the best we've ever had, for sure. Both games coming down to the wire. We'll talk about, how surprised you were that happened, because I was kind of surprised at least by one of them. And then we'll talk about the national championship game in both Division I and 1AA. It's going to be interesting to see, how those unfold as well. Let's mention quickly, because the news is good on Damar Hamlin. If you watch the game on Monday night, of course, the game was suspended. Damar Hamlin goes down with it looked like, when you're watching it live, it's no big deal. It's like something happened to him, but you weren't really concerned. And then, of course, as time goes on, it gets very concerning. Basically, he took a blow to the chest and his heart, kind of just stopped on him. 9 minutes of CPR. Like I said, the game was canceled. However, it sounds like he's doing better. All signs are really positive today. The first day of really good news. Just kind of give me your overall thoughts on that whole situation.
Well, I was not home. I went to a college basketball game, and I got home right as they were postponing the game. So I didn't know anything had happened. I didn't check my phone or anything. So the fans were filing out. And to tell you the truth, my first thought was somebody shot somebody. That was I didn't understand. I didn't know why the game had been,
you just walked in and they were gone.
Walked in and Joe Buck was very somber. Anyway. And then, of course, I realized what had happened. And, I thought Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were very, very good. I thought the Gallups, Lisa, Salter, I think her name is, thought she was great down on the field. I thought Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Clark on ESPN did a great job. So I thought the coverage was really, really good on all of it. And, a couple of things. I think this is, and we don't really know everything yet. They've been pretty hush-hush on all this, but from speculation from people, this is something that could have happened in a car wreck, bicycle wreck, a line drive to the chest in baseball. And to me, football's taken kind of a bad rap, because a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't play football. This is what happens, blah, blah, blah. It's purely speculation because we don't know for sure what happened, but sounds like he just got hit in the right spot that caused him to stop breathing. And it's not just football, And another point I would like to make, and this was a tragic thing, and I'm so glad seems to be doing well. I sure hope so. But, all the games that you and I have watched all over the years, have we ever seen this before? This is rare, don't you think? And it's just something that happened. It just happened, and it could have happened anywhere. So it is so tragic.
Enough, I've never seen anything like this in football, but you and I both have in hockey. And that's where my mind, once I finally got a grasp on what was going on and situation, my mind flashed back to 1998 when Chris Pronger took a puck right to the chest. In Detroit, it was a playoff game. It was game 2 of a second round series. He took a puck to the chest. He took about 2 strides skating, and he fell right to the ice. this was almost identical. The big difference was, though, they got Chris Pronger back going like that.
Yeah.
And with DeMar Hamlin, it took a lot of time and a lot of work to get him back going.
Yeah.
Gosh, in 1998, no social media.
Right.
Hockey, it's the playoffs. Nobody really knew what exactly happened to Chris Pronger until well after. And believe it or not, guys, Chris Pronger played Game 3 of that series. 2 nights later.
You were at that game, remember?
We were at Game 3 of that series in 1998 against the Red Wings. And again, a hockey injury in the playoffs, nobody really knows what was going on or anything. And we didn't know if he'd play or not, but we really didn't take it that serious because we didn't know what had happened.
No.
We just thought he went down. He got up pretty quickly after, considering what happened.
Yeah.
And, I remember when they announced him as a starter and had the place going crazy.
Yeah, because we didn't know whether he was going to play or not.
Nope. And then, after the series was over, they come out and say exactly what happened. We're like, oh, my God. But, yeah, Chris Pronger got up and played, and that's the big difference.
Yeah, and I saw a replay of that on Twitter or somewhere, and watching him go down and then watching DeMar go down, it's identical.
It is. It is.
Exactly. They just staggered and fell.
If you Google or YouTube, and and again, he's completely fine. It's very scary, but he's fine. And he went on to play, like I said, 2 nights later. And at the end of the day, he's totally fine. But it was the same exact thing. He literally, just like DeMar, because when DeMar popped up and kind of took a step back, and then he just went down. Same with Chris Pronger when that happened. He took a couple strides with the skates and just went right down. Just like like he was, for lack of a better term, like he had been shot, and again, the big difference was Chris Pronger was fine very quickly. Whereas this situation with DeMar, I mean, when they came back from the second commercial, I had thought that he had passed away. The way they were talking.
Okay, so I didn't see that. So
they came. Here's what happened. Right when the injury happened with the commercial, to be completely honest, I didn't think of anything. I just thought, well, he got it.
We've seen that before.
100 times.
Yeah.
Come back from the second one, and they're acting a little bit funny. And I thought, okay, this is a serious one. And they came back, and they went to another commercial. They came back from that next one. All the players were like in tears.
Mm-hmm.
They were all like huddled around him. And I thought, oh my God, like this guy has passed away on the field. Like, it was the scariest moment. And for literally 10, 15 minutes, felt like forever. That was just they weren't saying it, obviously, because that didn't happen. But that was just the mindset of the tone of everybody's voice, I guess I should say, is I don't think he's with us. But anyway, it's great news now, compared to that feeling right now.
Yes.
Right when that happened.
Yeah. Well, I got on, of course, later, and I've heard Troy Aikman and Joe Buck a million times do games and cover injuries of that sort, and I've never heard their voice crack.
Me neither.
Like it was, and they're both pros. I don't care whether you like them or not. They're pros at what they do, and they were really good. I thought they were great, and Lisa Salter was too down on the field. I saw her after the game on ESPN. She was great.
Her report live really was
okay. I didn't see that. So
yeah, she was very distraught.
Yeah.
They could barely get through what they were saying at times.
That's true. And anyway, I thought they handled it extremely well. And then some people blaming T. Higgins on the hit. Come on, get a life. Get a life, people. You just want to gripe about stuff. If you're griping about that, there was nothing to that.
Honestly, if you're doing anything other than just worrying about this guy's health, get a life. I mean, there's nobody to blame for this. It happens. Like you said, it could have happened. It's such a freak accident that happened, basically. A lot of people are mad at the NFL. Look, they canceled the game, and that's all that matters. I know they should have done it quicker. I agree, but they canceled it. And you know what? It had never happened before. And I think there was some, hey, we don't know what to do here.
I think they did too. And you're not trained for that. And, hats off to the two coaches. They were fantastic during this whole thing. The bonding of the players, it is a big fraternity of sorts. They're all in this together. And I've heard a lot of players talking about how in the back of your mind, You know this can happen to you when you play football, but you don't ever think it's going to.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of the way it is with life. You know, you never, you know, in the back of your head when you get in that car and you're going down the interstate, you could have a wreck,
Yeah.
but it never enters your head. It never, you know, ever occurs to you that something might happen. And this is kind of what happened. It was kind of a freakish thing. And what we don't know yet is maybe he has some sort of a heart condition of some kind, maybe that made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. You don't know that. It's probably this a freakish thing that happened.
Yeah, lastly on that subject, that's a good kind of lead into what I was going to say. The only other time that something like this similar to happen, once again, it was hockey, and once again, it's St. Louis Blues, and it was Jay Bouwmeester.
Oh, that was scary.
Yeah, this was a non-contact thing. If you go look up Jay Bouwmeester, and again, he's fine. It's not a, you know, it's not. It was scary at the time, but he's fine. He skates off the ice. He sits on the bench, and he goes down. It's just identical to what these guys.
Absolutely.
And with Jay, there was no contact, but they found out he had a little problem, and you know, he never came back to play. But he's fine, and they got it all worked out. And you never know. I mean, DeMar might have something like that maybe kind of made it worse, or it could have just been a Chris Pronger situation, wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, and you know, I was watching that night, and I'll never forget Darren Pang. And I think you were watching at the same time because we were texting back and forth.
Yeah.
When Darren came on, Darren Pang is the color man for the Blues, and he was right down. He's usually down on the ice doing the color from right by the bench.
Yeah, he sits right in the middle of the benches.
Right. And he was there and saw the whole thing. And they broke for commercial a couple times, and then he came back on, and I thought he had died.
Mm-hmm.
By the way Darren Pang was talking, I thought, oh my God, he has died. That was as scary as I've ever been at one, you know, because I didn't see this whole thing transpire the other night. But I witnessed the whole thing in that one and that. When Darren Pang came on and couldn't hardly talk, and the news wasn't that bad, but it had hit him so hard because he watched the whole thing. And it is very scary when that happens.
And what you're describing is exactly what happened at an NFL game, almost to a T. You know, it's the same kind of thing. You come back, and people that usually are happy, joyous, upbeat are just shook emotionally. Something terrible. And yeah, again, that was a really scary night, and it reminded me so much of this. And like I said, the Pronger thing in 1998, you never got real scared because he popped right back up very quickly, and you knew he was injured, and it wasn't just minor, but at the same time, popped up, he's off the ice, the game keeps going, and it's like, yeah, I wasn't really scared. But that football game was terrifying, and so was that night Jay Bouwmeester went down for the Blues just with no contact, sitting on the bench. So
I remember, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just say the bottom line is the news is better today. Very encouraging news.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, the kid's going to be fine, but it sounds like he is making very, very good improvements, and that's the bottom line.
That's all you can ask for, and
yeah,
he's young, and you know that's good. I remember one time, just real quick to sum this up, I was at a high school graduation. This was about 10, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in a gym, small town. And the gym was packed, as high school graduations are. And it was about 15 minutes before the senior class walked in and the ceremony began. It was just before that. And pretty soon it's heard this hush. And 3 rows behind me, a guy had collapsed. Didn't know him from Adam. Had no personal connections whatsoever. And it was an extremely scary situation because you didn't know who the guy was, but 3 rows behind you, you're watching him give him CPR.
Yeah.
And put the defibrillators on him, or whatever you call them, whatever, AFibs on him, and shock him back. And it took them, 4 or 5 minutes, but they got him back. And it was a very, very scary thing. So that you know, that kind of reminded me a little bit of that night too. You don't know the person at all, but you're just terrified that you may watch a guy die right there. You know, it's not good.
I mean, different circumstances, but the same thing, right? I mean, some person you don't know who's sitting there right in front of your eyes, you can't do anything about it.
Mm-mm.
And you're just sitting there hoping for good news. And that's what it's been ever since Monday for the sports world. It's just sit around and hope for good news. And been very quiet, but I think they've handled it well. They didn't come out and speculate anything, tell us a bunch of things that might not be true to try to rush the story. Patient, and now we're getting some good stuff. So hopefully the good news continues.
That's right.
That's kind of the way I'll sum it up. All right. Wanted to talk about it. Hadn't really talked about it yet. Did want to talk about that before we move on. Let's move on to the sports world here in college football. Much easier to kind of make that transition when you have good news like we've had. So thankful for that once again. Let's talk about what happened in the semifinal games. Then we'll talk about the national championships in both FCS and FBS. Let's start with the Ohio State-Georgia game. I thought this was just a fantastic game.
It was.
I guess I'll start. How surprised were you that Ohio State, they pretty much stood toe-to-toe with Georgia this whole game?
I was surprised. I really was. I thought Georgia would be too physical for them, and manhandle them somewhat. But Georgia didn't have an answer. And C.J. Stroud was fantastic in this game. And really, Georgia was fortunate to win. They really were. Heck of a game. Ohio State gave it everything they had. Unfortunately, they missed a field goal there at the end. It was a shocker. It really was. Both of these games were, for that matter. But
I was probably less shocked by the one we'll talk about next, but just because I'd seen what the TCU Michigan game was first, and it's like, oh, Michigan, they're not that good, I don't think. And so then you look, it's like, oh my God, Ohio State has to play Georgia. Michigan dominated Ohio State.
Yeah.
I watched this game and I thought, how did Ohio State get dominated by Michigan?
It's funny. I don't know either.
Is it just a matchup situation?
I think it was a mistake by the Ohio State defensive staff for crowding the line of scrimmage and daring Michigan to throw deep. Yeah. And that's where they blew the game open. They made a lot of big plays on them and blew the game open. I think they goofed on that. I don't know. That's something I can explain. The thing that Ohio State had going for them against Georgia is they can move the ball. They can throw the ball. And Georgia doesn't see a ton of that. So, but they did manhandle Tennessee, and Tennessee can throw it. So this was a surprise, and maybe Georgia's not as good as they were last year. I don't think that's even debatable. I don't think they're quite as good.
They may not be, but boy, I didn't see this coming still.
No, I didn't either.
Tennessee came to Georgia, and they were absolutely rolling, and Georgia shut the door on them.
They did.
And I just kept thinking, okay, Ohio State's kind of got them a little bit on their heels, but they're going to turn this game around and dominate. They never did. Good. And it took a missed field goal, or Ohio State would be in the national championship.
That's right. Could they have overlooked them?
Maybe. And maybe Ohio State really was the second best team in the country. And maybe they just, for whatever reason, just don't match up with Michigan, because the athletes I saw in this game looked a little better than the athletes I saw in the next game. Let's get to it. TCU defeats Michigan 51-45. One of the best college football games I've ever watched. This was fantastic. I was not shocked that TCU was able to play with them. I thought they could hang with them. Didn't think they'd beat them. They did. What were your thoughts on this one?
Well, Michigan gave the game away. They did.
It felt like two teams that were pretty evenly matched, but Michigan made all the mistakes.
They made all the mistakes, especially early in the game.
Yeah.
And it got behind, 21-3, I think. And I don't care who you are. That's hard to come back from 21-3. And they instituted most of these mistakes themselves. Some sloppy play calling, just a pick six, just a lot of goofy things they did that they don't normally do. So I think they gave the game away, but you got to give TCU tremendous amount of credit. They went toe to toe with them. They're not afraid of anybody. And, people go, well, they're lucky. Yes, they are. They have been very fortunate, but you know what? Good teams are fortunate, and they've made a lot of these plays themselves. And I wouldn't sell them short in this game coming up. A lot of people I've talked to go, well, their luck's going to run out sooner or later. Well, it hasn't yet. Well, it did in the Big 12 championship game. They weren't very lucky in that one.
Yeah.
but just a tremendous effort. And they're just tough, but they've got skill. Their skill people are good. Their receivers, their running back, and Dugan is a Baker Mayfield type, and you play well for guys like that. And my hat's off to them.
I'm with you. I thought, boy, there were some times where it's like, this is where they're going to fold because Michigan's making a big run, and they didn't fold. They just kept going, and I think they deserve a lot more credit maybe than what they're getting for that reason right there. There were some times where it's got a little sketchy, and they just kept going, and I think they deserve a ton of credit for it. I thought they played a really tough game, and they just kept making big plays with that offense. And listen, the better you are, the more lucky you get. I've learned that over the years, no matter if we're talking sports or business or whatever. The better you are, the harder you work, the more lucky you end up getting a lot of times. So
they remind me so much of the 2000 Oklahoma team that won it all.
Yep.
I think TCU's maybe eked out a few more games than OU did. You dominated early, but kind of had to hang on towards the end when Heupel got hurt and nobody knew it. Their offense kind of bogged down, but they remind me a lot of them. They just refuse to lose. They believe in themselves and they just keep going. So just a great story, no doubt.
Yeah. Sydney said she never saw either snap or the New Year's Eve games. It sucks. They'd be better playing on Monday. I hate the New Year's Eve time slot. I watch them, but I get why it's very inconvenient. And at times I kind of sacrifice doing other things to watch these, and I shouldn't have to do that. I thought this was I thought since the beginning this is a stupid time slot.
I do too, and it is. It's your showcase, and you do it on a night when people are celebrating, or people like me. We don't go out very late because we don't want to be on the roads late, but we go out and eat. So the TCU Michigan game's right in the middle of when we went out to eat, so I missed a lot of it because I was doing the husbandly thing. So, we had a good time and all that. It is dumb, and New Year's falling on Sunday messes things up.
Yeah.
For everything, because here's the Rose Bowl on Monday, January 2nd. And that's not right either. I kept thinking, is the NFL going to play on Saturday so college football can have Sunday? So because I hadn't really looked at the schedule. But it was all messed up. It really was. But these games now have been on New Year's Eve for how long? It's been several years. And I don't know why they do that. I agree with Cindy completely. And we're going to get into her game here in a little while, which is even dumber. So
scheduling wise, for sure. Yeah. Russ says he was very impressed with TCU. Wasn't that impressed with Georgia. For some reason, my mind is still telling me to bet Georgia. Jason saying he's hoping the TCU makes a game out of it. Hate to see two amazing semifinals and then a dud championship game. I think that's the sentiment from a lot of people. Jason also thinks when they expand the playoffs, we're going to see more upsets like Tennessee over Michigan. I totally agree with that.
Me too.
A lot of times what you see is one or two way really good teams, and then 3 through 12 you could kind of interchange from there. Jeffrey chimes in. He says Georgia is not as good as they were last year. Had many games where they struggled in the first half, only to wear the opposition down in the second half. OSU is probably talking about Ohio State. Is probably the equivalent of Georgia. I think we kind of saw it, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, let's talk about the game, the big game here, TCU and Georgia. Georgia's a 12.5-point favorite. It's a big-time point spread, right, for a national championship game. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think you have to pick Georgia to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. They're number one. They're undefeated, and they played in a tough conference. All of the variables point to them to win. 12.5, I think is too much. And the reason I say this is TCU, I believe, is good enough offensively to keep the game close. I think their offensive scheme is going to give Georgia some problems. because they have great athletes on offense. The problem's going to be, can they hold Georgia down? Because Georgia's got a quarterback that is very, very underrated.
Yeah.
This guy's pretty darn good. And isn't it funny how, because he wasn't a big-time recruit, he doesn't get the recognition some of these other guys do, but all he does is win every game he plays, just about. I think he's lost one game as a starter. So that's going to be the key. Can TCU stop Georgia enough to win?
I don't think they can. I think the problem is going to be Georgia will be able to run a pretty basic offense and be able to dominate them up front. And that's the worry. I'm with you. I think TCU moves the ball.
Oh,
and I think TCU will be able to block them, and I think they'll be able to get open, and I think they'll be able to move it some, but I don't think it's going to be enough. For example, TCU had to score 51 to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
They're not getting 51 against Georgia. I'm sorry.
I would be shocked if they do.
Yeah.
If
they give up 45 to Georgia, they're going to lose like 45 to 24, I'm afraid.
And Georgia's going to cover.
Yeah.
If they give up 45. Because I think they have to win this game 31-28, something like that. 35.
I don't think they can do it.
I don't either, but that point spread is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, the other thing is, if Georgia plays a clean game, they don't fumble, they don't have interceptions, they don't have dumb penalties, stuff like that, I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
So you've got to pick them. I don't have the guts to pick against them. I just don't. I hope TCU wins, but I just can't pick them.
Jason says, what scenario would you see the game play out? 1, TCU hangs first half and then Georgia pulls away. 2, Georgia takes a lead and TCU gets the back door. Or 3, it's close all the way out of those 3.
Well, I don't think it's 2. I would probably go 1 if I had to pick one of them.
I would go 1. Yeah. I could see TCU hanging with them for a while and then Georgia pulls away. That
may be where they cover.
Yeah.
A late cover. Because then, TCU may have to take some chances.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're giving TCU enough credit. It's hard to do it. Here's the reason. They're TCU. Would we be saying this if this was Texas? Not Texas of now, but Texas of old, or Oklahoma? Would we be saying these kind of things? I don't think we would.
Probably not.
No. And that's the thing. It's hard for us to accept the fact that TCU's in the national championship game. I mean, I can't wrap myself around it either.
Yeah.
And we watched it all year. We're Big 12 fans, and we watched it all year, and we still don't think they're as good as they are.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's that name brand. But Vegas, they don't really care a ton about that, and they've still got this at 12. So 12 and a half.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To be fair, though, I did not think TCU would beat Michigan.
No. What was it, like 9?
I think it was single digits, but it was up pretty high. And
yeah,
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I know a lot of guys picked the underdogs plus the points in both games, and they came away in good shape. So
they did. Let's talk about the FCS game, because this might be the best college football game we'll see all year. It's got a chance to be.
Mm-hmm.
North Dakota State versus South Dakota State, 1 o'clock on Sunday. I have no idea why this game is being played on Sunday at 1 o'clock with NFL on, but that's a different topic. Huge rivalry. South Dakota State was able to beat North Dakota State the first time. They're a 5-point favorite here. What do you think about this one?
I can't wait. I will definitely be watching this game. There's no way I will miss this game unless something happens and I'm not home.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this. I would love to get inside the heads of the NCAA and say, why are you playing this on Sunday? Why don't you play it Saturday night?
I don't know.
Or Friday night or Saturday afternoon? You got 2 pro games on Saturday. That's it. You could play this at 1. I think the first pro game's at 3, 3:15, something like that, and you have a night game. This is nuts.
Yep.
To go head to head with the NFL on a huge weekend for the NFL, and I don't understand it. But if you follow this division, and I don't follow it that close, but I do follow North Dakota State and South Dakota State. These are two premier teams year after year after year. They're big time rivals. They're in the same conference. They play each other every year. This is going to be a fantastic football game. And I don't think North Dakota State's as good as they have been. I don't. And I'm kind of with Curtis on this. But if you pick against North Dakota State, you better beware. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm picking North Dakota State plus the 5. I like them plus 5. By the way, you look at these records, North Dakota State 12-2. They lost to Division I Arizona by 3 points and to South Dakota State by 2 points. South Dakota State 13-1. Their loss was to Division I Iowa by 4 points. So both games against those Division I teams, they could have easily won if they just made a play, got a break, whatever. So that being said, that just shows you just how darn good these two teams are.
These are two teams, if you put them in the Sun Belt, Conference USA, maybe even the Mountain West, where they would be D1 and they get the extra scholarships that D1 schools have, they would compete right now in those leagues. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
You give them an extra, I think they get like 60 scholarships and D1 gets 85, I think. Somewhere in that ballpark. You give them 20, 25 more players and they're playing D1, they beat a lot of D1 football teams. They are that good.
Yeah.
And the other night, I watched the entire North Dakota State Incarnate Word semifinal game. That was a tremendous football game. It was awesome.
So Curtis is in the chat here, and he's against the expansion of the playoff. And he said, I love that people want to expand tourney and FBS so they can end up with the same champion and same 3 or 4 teams in it every year. Here's the deal. You might, but you might not either. Incarnate Word had every chance to beat North Dakota State. They were just as good as North Dakota State. The other thing is every single sports league has a playoff. Every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than 4 in almost every one of them. Go down to your little league, 9-year-olds. They've got 8 teams probably in the playoff. Yeah, you might get the same teams, but at least you know for a fact they are the top 4 teams. I don't know for a fact that the 4 teams that were in that playoff were the top 4 teams.
Right.
As a matter of fact, after watching Alabama, I'm not so sure they may not have been the second best team. And you know what? When you extend the playoffs, at least they get their chance.
Yeah.
A team like Tulane would love to see them have a chance to actually win the national title.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what makes college basketball awesome? A team like Tulane has a chance.
They do.
They may not get there. They have a chance. A team like Tulane in college football has no chance under the current system. At least they get the shot. And you know what makes college basketball awesome? St. Peter's going on a run.
That's right.
College football for 100+ years has never given that an opportunity. It could have happened. Think about Boise State the year they were so good. It could have happened. Think about Tulane. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't.
Right.
At least having that shot at it is what makes college football awesome.
And
we might get the same 3, 4 teams, but some years we might not, and that's what makes it awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we get the same 3 or 4 teams under the format we're using right now.
Yeah.
Pretty much, don't we?
So, I don't understand the logic that we shouldn't expand it. What? And another thing, say we get the same 4 teams. Okay, but we also get extra games, really good games. We got North Dakota State. Okay, great. One of the best college football games I've seen all year was North Dakota State Incarnate Word.
It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. And we got that. Why? Because there was a playoff system. Because we didn't just say, well, Vegas likes this team and this team, so they should play. I mean, if you're against it, that's fine, but that's my reasoning for it. What? Let's pretend we like we're a Tulane fan or a Boise State fan. What's the point? We can win our conference and go play a meaningless bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
12-team playoff, we might go win the national championship.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing for that I don't understand why people get all upset because the same team's in it every year. Why don't somebody go beat their ass? Somebody go beat their ass. If you're tired of seeing them, get better. Beat them. The story of this game, North Dakota State has won 9 of the last 11 championships. Alabama hadn't done that. Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody who has at this level.
The biggest thing to me is you get more college football games. Did you guys enjoy the playoffs this year? Those 2 games?
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, we're going to get more games against marquee teams, something we begged for. Please play out of conference games early in the year. You're going to get them under this format. I mean, I think it's going to be great.
I do too. But back to this game here. If you want to watch pure football, there's no NIL bullshit in this to speak.
Oh, yeah.
They're not playing for money for the most part.
Right.
They're playing because they represent their school. And that's what it's all about. And this will be a war. It will be a war. It's 2 teams that hate each other. And it's going to be an event. And I really believe South Dakota State may be better than they are this year. But if you bet against North Dakota State and you lose, that's your fault.
Like I said, North Dakota State plus the 5. Maybe South Dakota State beats them. I'll take North Dakota State plus the 5. It's not very often, maybe never, you get North Dakota State at plus money.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think they were a 1-point favorite against Arizona.
I think they were, yeah. Yeah. And it's an amazing thing because you got 2 schools here that have no recruiting base. 0. How many I'm wondering how many high schools there are in both of these states put together. I mean, there's not very many. There's not a lot of people that live in North Dakota and South Dakota. So they go out and get these players. They put them in a system. And by the way, North Dakota, I don't know about South Dakota State, but North Dakota State's in about their 5th coach during this run. It doesn't matter who coaches them. They just plug somebody in, they keep the system, and away they go.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Curtis is talking about these guys are going to opt out even when they're in the playoff. Here's the weird thing that I noticed this year that I'm just shocked about. The games that had a lot of opt-outs, these bowl games, they were still good games. Like I was not really fired up, and I'm with Kurt. Like I hate it. Like it's like this.
No doubt.
They ended up being really good games. I was shocked by that.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Curtis. This stuff of opting out of bowl games and not finishing your career, I am dead set against it. But I don't know what you do about it. I don't know. It's ruined college football. It's ruined it for me personally. This was something that was unheard of 5 years ago.
Yeah,
you played your final game. You wore that uniform for the last time. They don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
But you got to remember, they can have an agent now. They got agents talking to their parents, talking to their dad. They're in their ear. They're advising them to do this. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. No, there's not. But at least we did get some good bowl games out of it. I mean, most of these games, the lesser. You haven't
even mentioned the Tulane game.
Yeah, Tulane USC was a great game. Listen, I thought OU Florida State was a great game.
It was a fantastic game, and I was proud of OU. Yeah. And they played their tail ends off with a lot of guys opting out. Good riddance as far as I'm concerned. So
Kansas and Arkansas was a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was that happened so long ago that you kind of forget that one.
Yep.
I didn't mean anything, but the drama around Mississippi State, that game was good. The way they won that at the end was really cool.
Yep.
One for Mike Leach, it was great. And the tributes that everybody did for Leach, most teams had some sort of a tribute for him. I thought was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't put this guy in the College Football Hall of Fame, it's a crime.
I know. I agree. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it was a fun bowl season. We got one big one left. Hopefully it's a fun game. Like I said, I think it's 50-50 how that goes on that. All right. Let's go to the NFL where they have a playoff, interesting enough. And we'll go to week 18. And we got big games that matter for the playoffs that kind of make for some fun games. We're going to go through it here. I'll kind of mention the playoff implications as we go and pick these week 18 games. We'll start off with Saturday's games, the Chiefs and the Raiders. It's strange. I guess the Chiefs, I don't really know how they're going to decide this number one seed, but the Chiefs need to win for sure. They're 9.5-point favorites. They never cover, but can they cover against the Raiders this weekend?
You know, I don't know what they're going to do on this either, because it's not Buffalo's fault that they didn't play that game, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see any way they can make that game up.
It's interesting because at first it definitely was like, it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. This guy may lose his life. But now that as the news gets better and like he's going to be okay, it kind of starting to slowly shift to what in the hell are they going to do about this?
Yeah.
You know?
The only scenario I could see they could do is wait and see what happens this weekend, because it may not mean anything. The Bills might lose and the Chiefs might lose. One or the other one might lose, and it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good point there too, Dave.
Yeah.
Yes, here's something they could think about doing. I don't think they will. They could go ahead and play this weekend's games, and let's say both the Chiefs and Bills win. And the Bengals are involved in some of this too with Baltimore. Well, no, they're not, because they could. No, they couldn't. Anyway, they could play the Bills in Cincinnati next week and push the playoffs back a week, because remember, you have 2 weeks between the Super Bowl and the championship round.
Yeah.
They could push that to just 1 week between that. That would be the only thing I could see they could do. Now, I don't think they'll do that. But I don't know why we have 2 weeks between the Super Bowl and the championship round anyway. That is something they could do. Now, to me, and Chiefs fans aren't going to like this, I think because the Bills beat the Chiefs head-to-head in the regular season, if they both win Sunday, they may give it to the Bills.
They might do that. Yeah, that's very possible. They might be waiting to see, okay, let's see what happens this weekend. Like, what if the Chiefs lose? Well, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So could be waiting for that as well. It'll be interesting to see. Cincinnati, the division, they're okay there, but second seed, third seed, that's very much up in the air as well.
It is. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, back to the game here. I've taken the Raiders plus 9.5.
I'll take the Raiders as well. Yeah, I'm never picking the Chiefs to cover. No.
The thing is, I fully expect the Raiders to play a heck of a game.
Really?
I do. I think they're going to play their butts off.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll take them plus the 9.5. I think Chiefs obviously win the game. This is the big one. This is for the division. The Titans go to the Jaguars. Jaguars surging. Titans falling. Free falling. Jacksonville 6.5-point favorite here at home. What do you think?
Well, how can you expect Tennessee to go win?
Yeah.
Just don't know how you can. You've lost 6 in a row. You lost to Houston at home, a game you absolutely had to have. You couldn't win it. Jacksonville's playing great. The only thing I can see here is if Jacksonville chokes.
Yep.
They could choke. If Tennessee wins, they're in. It's that simple. Even though they'll both have the same record, they win the tiebreaker.
Yep.
So they are in. Jacksonville could still get in. I've got this written down here. They could still get in if the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Steelers all lose. They could still get in. So 6.5, I don't think they win by 6.5.
You sound
So
like you're on the same page as Sydney. Jags win, they don't cover. I'm kind of with you. And Curtis, I was just getting ready to break the news. Just came through my phone. Texas has fired Chris Beard, head coach there, the head men's basketball coach, as he is facing a felony charge for domestic violence. So Chris Beard fired from Texas. And oddly enough, about a month ago, I called Chris Beard the best college basketball coach in the country, and he's just been fired.
Here's the thing, fellas. Don't hit your wife. Don't hit a woman.
Ever.
Stupidity. It's just not right. It's not right. Goodbye, Chris. You're done.
Yeah. I think I know Russ is an Arkansas fan. I am a Oklahoma fan. You're an Oklahoma fan as well. It's like, great. Because I thought Texas would be a powerhouse under Chris Beard.
Great coach. Yeah.
He's great.
Great.
Wonder if Oklahoma has any problem. No, just kidding. Yeah. Unless you're Chad Brown. If you're Chad Brown, you can get away with it.
Chad Brown is not a coach at a big university.
It's crazy though that Chad Brown got away with it and nothing happened to him.
Well, you're right. In this day and age, you're absolutely right.
I mean, it's pretty incredible when you think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
I guess the person, he was defending himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Dana White, that's another good one as well. Yeah. Chris Beard, future West Virginia basketball coach. That's hilarious, baby. All right, let's move on. Get the rest of these over with here before we get out of here. Buccaneers, they win the division. They got it done last week, so they are the division winners. They'll probably rest this week at Atlanta. Yeah. That's why Atlanta is a 4-point favorite here. Any interest with these kind of games is just I don't care.
You don't bet those. Yeah. You just don't know what's going to happen. But Tampa got the job done, and I don't know how, but they did. So you got to give them credit for winning a couple of games they shouldn't. What a game Brady had the other day. He was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it came down to. He just willed them to victory basically there.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. If I wonder if Carolina just would have fired the coach, right, but not given up and traded their good players. Yeah. Would they have won this division?
They probably would have. Yeah.
So pretty incredible to think about that as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Patriots and Bills, big game. Patriots can make the playoffs, will make the playoffs, should say, with a win. The Bills have still got the weird situation of, well, let's first, their fellow player,
right?
What happened to them? How can they be ready? And then the weird situation of, are we going to be the 1 seed even if we win? What's going to happen? Interesting game here. Bills are a 7-point favorite. With everything that's going on, what do you think about this?
There's a ton of distractions.
Yeah.
They are very well coached. I think Sean McDermott is one of the best. Yeah. And, I think he can mesh this all together. With the news being good, that's a plus. They're playing New England. They hate them. But there's so many distractions. I don't think they practiced yesterday. I don't think they did. I think they had a team meeting. I think I read that somewhere. So they probably practiced today. You got to take your hat off to New England. I don't know how they've had a chance to even be in the playoffs, but they do.
Yeah.
I don't think they beat Buffalo. I think the Bills are going to come out inspired and play pretty well in this one. So I think they win.
I do too. I just got to go with the better team. They're a much better team, and I just got to lean on them. I tell you what, though, I'll take New England +7. But I do think Buffalo finds a way to get it done. I think they re-rally. I really do. I think that's where, with these situations, it goes one way or the other, right? Like they come out and they're just not ready, or they come out and they're inspired. And
I think they'll be ready.
You never really know until that game kicks off. We'll see. All right. Vikings against the Bears here. Vikings 7.5-point favorite. Bears are not playing Justin Fields. So, I mean, I think the Vikings get it done. What do you think?
They're not playing very well either, but I think they do. Still means a little bit to them if the 49ers lose. Mm-hmm. They'll be 2 instead of 3. But I don't think you bet this game either. I'd stay away from it.
Yeah, these Week 18 games are a little bit tricky when it comes to that. What kind of effort will the Bears put out? Can the Bears, possibly get the number one choice? They lose. I think the Vikings win. I think it'll be pretty easily here, and we'll see. We'll see if the Vikings where they land. It'll be.
By the way, I don't know whether you've heard this, Aaron. Maybe you have. Just came on my phone that DeMar is able to communicate by writing. Have you seen that? Okay.
Yes, I actually just got that alert as well. Yeah.
And he first question he wrote was who won the Monday night game. So
correct.
This is fantastic. I mean, that means his brain's okay.
The news again, I don't want to like make light of it and try to say this isn't still serious because it is.
Yeah.
The news compared to where we were when that happened to now is almost incredible.
Yeah.
You don't with these situations, you never want to, I guess, get your hopes up or get too happy about it because you just never know. But the news is really, really good.
Well, I mean, one of the big obstacles was his brain going to be okay because he had lost oxygen to the brain for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And if he's able to write and his brain and think like that, his brain's in good shape. So that's fantastic news.
Yeah, that's very good news indeed. And like I said, it's unbelievable sports. We got a sports show here. We're trying to talk about betting, and it just keeps coming up because that just really stopped all of us for a while.
Yes,
and rightfully so. I mean, it was just a very traumatic thing. But yeah, great news on that as well for sure. All right, let's keep going. Where was I? Okay, Ravens and the Bengals. This is a pretty big game here. Cincinnati 7-point favorite. It's odd because I was watching that game and I was thinking to myself, my God, Cincinnati looks good. They are hitting their stride. And then that happened. Now, how does this affect the Bengals? That's another
good question.
Question mark. How will they come out and play here? I think they're 7 points better than the Ravens.
I do
when you
too.
just look at it on paper.
Yeah, I do too. The Ravens have a way of playing people close, though. Is Lamar out?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see any way they win. And that, how would it affect the Bengals? You would think they would be okay. You would think they would be able to get over that because that wasn't their teammate. I mean, I know they saw it and everything, but you would think they would be able to bounce back a little bit better than the Bills. So I think they cover this and go on. And they, still have an outside shot at the number one seed, I guess, if the Chiefs and Bills lose.
In some ways, yes. Boy, that if the Chiefs lose, that really.
Oh God,
I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know. I'm not. We'll let them work. That's above our pay.
I think they're gonna lose.
Really good game here. The Texans and the Colts. The Texans have not quit. I'll give them that.
No, they have
quit.
Yeah.
Indianapolis 2.5-point favorite. But Texans need to lose because they have the number one draft pick. They lose. So a team has quit versus a team that has fought it that just has no talent. But the team that's fighting it really needs to lose. What's going to happen in this one?
Is there a clear number one, though?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, there's not.
I'd rather have it.
Well, yeah, but one or two, what's the difference, really?
Yeah.
If you bet this game, you are nothing but a degenerate. I don't know. I would take the Texans, I think.
Well, Jason says Texas owner said, win this game and you're fired.
Oh, that's good. I don't know.
I'll take the Colts because I just think they're going to take it. I really do. All right, let's go on. Jets and Dolphins. Big game here for the Dolphins because even though they have just been really bad, if they can win and then get the New England, the Patriots to lose, we're still in good shape here. What do you think, Dolphins, Jets? Jets are a 1-point favorite in this game.
I don't think so. I'm going Dolphins. I think they win this. Now, if it was in New York, I would go the other way. But I think the Dolphins are going to regroup and win it. They all only need to win and New England lose. They don't have to worry about anything else. Yeah. So I'm going to take them to win this one because it's at home. I think they pull it out.
I kind of think they're going to win as well. I kind of think somehow they're going to end up in the playoffs because I just don't think New England's going to win. So yeah, but listen, I think it's a toss-up game. I will take the Dolphins though. I think they still are good enough to beat the Jets, who've kind of tanked it. All right, let's move on to another game that is meaningless. Panthers and the Saints. Who do you like here? Saints are 3.5-point favorite.
Again, why would you bet this? I mean,
Yeah.
you have no idea what the motivation is. What is it?
Yeah.
There's zero. I just go with the home team. That's all I do.
Yeah, I think the Saints doesn't really matter. Game does not matter one bit.
No.
This one does, because if the Dolphins lose and the Patriots lose, and let's face it,
could happen.
Two very possible things.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers, who we thought might be the worst team in the league, they've got a shot to make the playoffs. They got to beat the Browns and then hope for 2 losses. Steelers are 2.5-point favorites. Browns played pretty well last week. Maybe they, kind of getting their, criminal quarterback going a little bit. They'll be ready to play. This is a big game. Don't think the Browns are going to come in here and not be ready. They're ready to go. Can the Steelers beat the Browns? That's the first step. 2.5-point favorite for the Steelers.
Yeah, we talked about this on the what do we call it? The Daily Show today. The job that Mike Tomlin has done at Pittsburgh, because we did, and when we were going over the preseason, we thought this might be a 3-win team, 4-win team. We didn't see how they could win more than 4.
Yeah, and
they've won 8. They didn't get off to a very good start, but they've just gotten better and better and better. I love their quarterback, Pickett. I think he's playing again, and he's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got skill. The Browns are dangerous. They're just dangerous. These are the kind of games they kind of win. I'm pulling for Pittsburgh, and I'm not a Steelers fan, but I'm going to take them. They're at home, big game. I think they're going to win it.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm going to go the Steelers as well. They showed a lot of guts coming from behind to beat Baltimore last week. I don't think they're going to lose to the Browns, so I'm going to go Prescott and not Prescott, Pickett and the Steelers. Curtis, you threw me off. I saw your comment as I was saying that. Pickett and the Steelers to get the job done. Chargers and Broncos, pretty much a meaningless game here. Chargers will rest a lot of guys, I'm sure. Broncos, I mean, they look like they've rested guys all year. Broncos are a 2-point favorite. This is another.
I'm assuming that the Chargers have the 5th spot.
Yeah, the Chargers are pretty much locked into their position.
To the 5th spot?
Well, no. I mean, they could fall to 6.
That's right. So I don't understand why they're resting all this. Well, I do. Look at their coaching staff. But
it does. It's not going to make a whole lot of difference to them. They're going on the road, round 1.
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather play Jacksonville than Cincinnati?
No. They would play the Bills or the Bengals.
That's what I said.
Jacksonville's going to play either the Patriots Jacksonville. Oh, I got you. No, the 4-5 seed. You're right. No, you're right.
Why would you rest your players?
Take the Chargers.
I mean, that's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they obviously are resting them because why would Denver be a 2-point favorite?
Right, exactly.
This is your Los Angeles coaching staff. I mean, okay, so because Baltimore's 10-6.
Right.
If they win, they're 11-6. If the Chargers lose, they're 10-7, so they'll be 6th instead of 5th.
Yeah. Now, Baltimore winning is definitely in question.
I know, but I don't get this.
Well, maybe they think they could go beat them anyway.
I don't get it.
No.
I'm picking them anyway.
I'll pick the Chargers. Yeah, I think they'll win. I think Denver is one of the worst teams of all time. So
they played good last week, though, in Kansas City. They really did.
Yeah, but I mean, the Chiefs are.
I know.
Chiefs are the Chiefs, right?
Yep.
All right, big game all of a sudden for the Eagles. Isn't this on?
Huge.
The Eagles could fall out of the number 1 seed if they don't win. But for the Giants, it truly is a meaningless game. They are the 6th seed no matter what. Eagles are a 14-point favorite here. What do you think?
Well, I don't think the Giants are going to play everybody. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
14, too much. Too many. I would say that in any pro game, really. Yeah. So except maybe the next one. So I'm going to go Giants plus 14, but I think the Eagles win.
Yeah, Eagles will win this thing, but Giants plus 14. Let's go on here. Cardinals and the 49ers, another one, the meaningless game for the Cardinals, obviously. 49ers still have something to play for here a little bit, for sure. 14-point favorite. The Cardinals have no quarterback whatsoever.
No.
It should be a blowout.
Should be. I think it will be. I'll go the 14 on this one. Is the good bet is, as Russ just mentioned, what's the odds on Kingsbury's this being his last game?
Yeah.
I would think they will fire him.
I would say Monday morning he's fired, right?
I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah.
Curtis is still mad about the 12-team playoff in college football. Hey, you know what? Here's the deal. When you try something new and it's never been done before, things could happen that I don't see coming, and that could be one that he's talking about there. So we'll leave it at that.
I don't think you'd be resting your starters, though. You're not guaranteed you're going to get in there.
Well, yeah, I think with Curtis says that they're going to rest their starters for their conference championship games. I think the conference under the rules that I saw, the conference championship gets an automatic berth. So I think that makes the conference championship games meaningful.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see that logic there, Curtis. Yeah. And I see eye to eye with you on a lot of things, but I don't know that one.
Future offensive coordinator of Alabama, Cliff Kingsbury, very possible.
Well, they lost their offensive coordinator.
Well, I don't know that, but that's usually what happens. They go to Alabama.
Yeah, but I don't think Nick may not want him.
I would guess he wouldn't. Okay, let's go on. Rams and the Seahawks. Big game for Seattle. They need to win this, and then they need to hope the Lions beat Green Bay. That's the key there. Seattle, a 6-point favorite here against the Rams. I think they get it done. What about you?
I agree. I'm going Seattle plus 6.
Okay, and then the Cowboys and the Commanders. Cowboys still with that outside chance. They're needing a win and then a loss. The Cowboys a 7-point favorite here against Washington.
Well, they should cover.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of points. And I think they may eke that one out. I could see that one be a little closer than 7. I don't know. The Commanders are going to play Heineke again, I think, this week. Why they benched him, I don't know. I'm going to go Commanders plus 7.
I'm going to go. I don't care anything about that game. I'll take the Cowboys. I don't know.
I think go ahead, but it's I don't have any confidence in them.
All right,
and they may win the division.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Here's the big one.
Yes.
If Green Bay, okay, this is going to be at night. This will be the last game of the year, so we're going to know one way or the other.
Yeah, it's true.
One way, it's very simple. If Green Bay wins, they're in. If the Lions win and the Seahawks lose, the Lions are in. So
right.
It could be a massive game for both teams, or it could just be a massive game for one team.
Yeah.
Green Bay 4.5-point favorite. Let's cover this first. Who do you like in the game?
Well, you got to go with the Packers. Seasoned, used to this. It's at home, playing extremely well. I got to give them a lot of credit. I really do, and I hate them. And it's not just because of this year. I've never liked the Packers. Ever have I liked the Packers, and just haven't. But my hat's off to them. We all had them buried. I think they were 4-8, weren't they?
Yeah, they were done.
They were done. And they have somehow rallied to win 4 in a row. They killed Minnesota last week. And that was a fine showing by the Vikings, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions lost that game in Carolina, I think it was. And we kept talking about the Lions. They were going to have to win 8 out of their last 9 to make the playoffs. And they're not good enough to do that. And that's hard to do in the NFL, even if you are good.
Yep.
And they got beat, and it's probably going to cost them. I think they're good enough to beat the Packers. I really do. I'm not sure they think they can. So we said this way back. What if it came down to this game for Detroit? Would they be able to beat the Packers? And I think both of us said no. Mm-hmm. So I got to go with Green Bay, and I think they may even cover. I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting my butt off for Detroit.
I think the Packers are going to win. I think they're going to cover, like you just kind of alluded to. Now, let me get into this. Green Bay has been that number 1 seed and has been disappointing.
Yep.
They slide into the playoffs after everybody pronounces them dead. Let's say they win. Let's just say they win. They're going to get the matchup against most likely San Francisco with Brock Purdy at quarterback.
Absolutely.
Or they're going to get the matchup against the Vikings. And I'm sorry, I know Russ watches. He's a huge Vikings fan, but Green Bay is going to beat them if they play them. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
Then they're going to get the matchup against, if they would win that game, potentially an Eagles team that's kind of stumbled.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Packers have a shot to make a lot of noise. What do you think?
I agree. They're playing great. Yeah, no pressure.
None.
When you're the number 1 seed, you got tons of pressure on you. And here's the other thing about this game. If Seattle wins, Detroit has no chance.
No, that's just it. So if Seattle wins earlier, which I'm going to tell you, I don't think that's a given.
It's not.
The Rams, for whatever reason, are playing.
No, it's not because Seattle's not that good.
Yeah, and the Rams are playing well.
So. Yeah, so no, that's not a given.
Yeah.
But anyway, that would mean, Detroit's hopes are over. Now, they don't like the Packers, so they could play their butt off to keep Green Bay out of it.
Yeah.
So, actually, though, because all Green Bay has to do is win the game, and they're in. So,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Curtis says Green Bay is going to be that 7th seed. All the talking heads said no one wants to play them, and then we all remember the roster is awful, and the front office failed Rodgers for most of his careers. They went to Philadelphia 5 weeks ago, and they lost by 7. Mm-hmm. And that's the number 1 seed in their conference. Don't tell me they don't have a chance. They have a chance.
They got a chance because the NFC is weak.
I'm telling you.
The best teams are the AFC.
They played the Bills, who a lot of people think are the best team in the league. They only lost by 10. Mm-hmm. They have a chance. They are not that much different from anybody else that's going to be in that playoff situation. No. Do I think they're going to go to San Francisco and win? Probably not. Am I going to be surprised in the least bit if they go to San Francisco and win in the playoffs? No, I'm absolutely not. I'm not. It's Aaron Rodgers versus Brock Purdy.
That's right.
You can't tell me that's not going to become a factor at some point, and it could become a factor right off the bat.
Well, the thing is, it's not Aaron Rodgers against Brock Purdy, but it's Brock Purdy in a playoff game for the first time. Let's put it that way. Okay, it's not Rodgers against Purdy. It's Purdy in the pressure he's going to be facing in a playoff game for the first time. It's not Aaron Rodgers going to outduel him. It's the Packers can be able to maybe stop him.
Yeah.
And then if they do win that game, and then they go into Philly's on a bye, right?
Yep. Quarterback hasn't played in 4 weeks.
No.
You almost beat him you lost 40-33 the first time.
Hayden Hurt's going to play this week.
Is he going to play? I don't know if he's going to play.
I think he is. I don't think they would be 14-point favorites if he wasn't going to play.
Okay. So that's going to help. I have no idea on the injury status there.
But still, you got an Eagles team that's never been in this situation. Didn't think they would be in it to start the season. There's still a lot of people not sold on them.
Yeah.
I do think they're as good an offensive team with Hurts as there is in the NFC. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They're dynamic offensively. But I think Green Bay does have a legitimate shot. They're red hot. They just weren't playing well early in the season. They've adjusted. I do like the 49ers a lot, Curtis. I do.
Okay, so here's the deal. I like I said, I have the 49ers picked to go to the Super Bowl. All right? So, but if I'm San Francisco and my options, I know they're not an option, but let's say the Giants were an option, Seattle was an option, Detroit was an option, and Green Bay was an option. 100%. I would not, out of those 4, Green Bay would be my least likely pick. Like, give me any of those teams, and I think it's going to be easy. Give me Green Bay off 5 straight wins with a Hall of Fame quarterback. I would be nervous. That is a really tough first-round matchup.
And no pressure. There's no pressure on them.
None.
There's no expectations.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
guarantee you that game will be close.
Oh, I think so.
Now, again, I think San Francisco will win because I do think they have the better team. But
Well, here's another thing too, and doesn't have anything to do with this game, but the same topic kind of. You got Dallas right now, as of this point, going to Tampa. Tampa Bay is awful. They are god awful.
Yep.
But do you think Dallas is going to go in there and kill them? I don't think they will.
I
think
they'll
they'll
kill them. I think they'll beat them. I don't think they'll kill them.
No, I don't either.
So let's just do some pretending and say that Green Bay does win that game against if they play San Francisco and they beat them. The Eagles, obviously, another big test. But if they could get by the Eagles, they're going to the Super Bowl. I have no doubt they will beat whoever else is left.
Well, because probably who'd be left would either be the Giants or Dallas.
Well, Dallas, Minnesota,
Well,
Tampa, like
the only team left probably would be Dallas, and Dallas is better than they are. But would they beat them if they had to? I don't know.
I'm just saying, if you want to take a little flyer on a team with high odds, they're not the worst because their path is a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Where if you're going to take a flyer on a team like the Dolphins or the Patriots, who are going to be the 7th seed in the AFC, forget about it. It's not going to happen.
No.
Less than 1% chance on those two teams.
Yeah, I don't. The AFC's top, their top teams are better than the NFC top teams.
100%.
The Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Bills are damn good. And you can throw the Chargers in there too. If they're playing like they're capable, they're pretty good.
They're tough out. Yeah. Yeah. They're tough out. There was a time where it looked like the Chiefs may have to play the Chargers first. And obviously that's not going to happen now. But listen, that would have been a really tough game where, yeah. So, and even, okay, you got 8-8 Tampa and you got 8-8 Jacksonville. They're going to be that 4th seed. Jacksonville's a hell of a lot better than Tampa, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the NFC, it's not great. Now, the Eagles, if Hurts hadn't got hurt, we may have been saying a different story. He may come back and they'll be fine. They're damn good. The rest of these teams, San Francisco with a good quarterback, I think would win the whole thing. With the quarterback they've got, it's questionable. After that, anybody can beat anybody in this league. It's not great.
No.
Minnesota's not great. Tampa, Dallas, we'll see. Giants, So, all right, enough rambling. I just think that's exciting. I think Green Bay making it makes that game exciting. Where if it's like San Francisco, Seattle, I don't know. San Francisco, Detroit, I don't know.
Well, just because it's the Lions, it'll be fun to watch.
Well, that's true. If the Lions get in, it'll be a great story. But I don't think the Lions are going to go to San Francisco and win. Is what I'm saying. Where Packers might. All right.
It's going to be a heck of a weekend.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we keep getting good news on tomorrow. And everybody's upbeat today. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, I think that's about does it. Good to be back.
Did you watch the Smarty Jones?
I did.
What did you think?
Thought the horse looked very good.
Yeah. Victory Formation won the Smarty Jones. Not a great field, but I thought he looked good, and I think he's going to stretch out really well.
Now, is he on anybody's fantasy team?
He's on mine.
Oh, you've got him. All right.
Yes.
No wonder you liked him.
So, well, yeah, but I went into the draft hoping to get him in the second round, and I did. So
he looked good.
I'm skeptical of his talent level. I don't know if he's like I just found another burst and I can kick away from you. I think he's more of I'm going to get out in front of you and hold you off, kind of a grinder type, which isn't great, but he's also very young and we don't really know. But 3 races, 3 wins, we'll take that. And yeah, I think Victory Formation is pretty solid. We got some really good horses coming up this weekend too. So
I thought it was interesting that Cox said they were going to probably point him to the Rebel, and skip the Southwest.
Yeah. Curtis asked, "What do you think of Corona Bolt?" That's another Cox horse. So I just said, like with Victory Formation, I'm not sure about the burst. I'm not sure about his ability to kick clear. I think he's going to be tough. Corona Bolt, he's got that kick clear ability. That was really impressive. but it was only a 6 furlong race. Does he have that kind of ability going long? That's a big question mark. I think his talent level is higher than Victory Formations. I just don't know about the distance, but you look at the pedigree, probably should get it. So we'll just have to see how he looks when he stretches out. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of talent. And by the way, Brad Cox, he's got a lot of horses with a lot of talent right now.
He's doing all right. He's pretty solid.
He's got some runners. Corona Bolt's really good. Jace's Road won the gun runner. He looked pretty good. I don't think he looked as good as Corona Bolt, but he looked good. Yeah, he's got Giant Initiative's a really nice horse. He's got good horses. So.
He kind of knows what he's doing.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. He's pretty sharp.
He's got them all mapped out. I think Jason's Road's going to the Southwest. I think Corona Bolt is going to the Southwest. And yeah, Victory Formation, like I said, he's going to go to the Rebel as of now. And that's tentative. We'll see what happens with those.
Well, he said he needs to mature a little bit more and get bigger, stronger, as those 2-year-olds do. So
yeah,
he's 3, of course, but anyway.
Well, yeah, 3 now, but still basically 2. Curtis says he's still 85 to 90 to 1. Talk about Corona Bolt in Vegas. That's worth a flyer.
Yeah,
that kind of price is worth a flyer. Yeah, because he's really good, I think. All right, we'll see. I bet he stretches out. Maybe the comp date will be next for him coming up in a couple 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see.
Yep, it's warming up.
Like I said, could be the Southwest as well. So. All right, that's it. We're getting out of here. We ran long. I thought we would, though. We had a lot to cover today. So, all right, it's good to be back, guys.
Sure is.
We talked about it. Have a good weekend. Good luck to everybody betting, and we'll see you right back here. We'll be back on Monday to recap everything and kind of look forward to what's. Oh no, Monday's national championship game.
It is.
So we might be live for that. We'll have plans. So
all right,
guys. See you Monday.
This is DWBS Sports. DWBS Sports, it's your favorite show. DWBS Sports, where degenerates go. DWBS Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Haldeman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.